I'm David Morris here for CoinDesk, and I am here with Leslie Cauley, the founder of TruthDAO, a new project to build journalism using a distributed organization, or at least some of those structures. Leslie, welcome. Yeah, we're on mic, so unfortunately we got to hold these things up. So let's just start with the basics. Tell our audience what TruthDAO is, how it works, and what your goals are.
Great, thank you. TruthDAO it's a DAO construct, and we have a couple of different components. And one of them is the basic DAO, which is about building a community globally, not about generating clicks. And the community will focus on advocating for, talking about, supporting non-partisan, bias-free journalism globally. A lot of issues around that. It's a very dynamic. We envision, again, depending what the DAO wants to do, the community, a lot of different programs, a lot of different sorts of interactions, potentially with journalism schools, with people involved in the journalistic community globally. That's one part of it. The other part is an editorial operation, an independent editorial operation. And I'll just point out, newsrooms, as you well know, David, are autocratic. Someone's in charge. And so it is the inverse of a DAO construct. Right. And that is clearly stated in our code as law, right? The blockchain, how we're describing what we do, but it is completely independent. And so the DAO will not be directing reporters what to do or not do. That, in our view, that's called Facebook. In our domain, it's very independent, and the whole operation will be anchored by and staffed by seasoned journalists. And that's the idea. We will, however, interact very liberally and very freely with the DAO community. It's a wonderful resource, quite frankly, for source development, for story ideas, for discourse back and forth on one-to-one and one-to-many with our DAO community. This other part of the network, TruthDAO network, if you will, is Fireside Chat, which is the interactive participatory video network founded by Mark Cuban and Fallon Fatimi. And we've already launched one show. We have another show coming out, which we just announced, and a third in the making, a couple others in the pipeline. And that will be the video component of our content presentation. And again, everything supports our basic ethos, which is all about nonpartisan, bias-free journalism.
And you made the point, I saw you speak with our editor-in-chief earlier during the conference, and you made the point that yes, news does have to work on, as you said, sort of an autocratic system, right? You have somebody who makes the decisions and makes those very fast sometimes. And so the DAO as a decision-making group doesn't necessarily work as well. But what elements of the DAO structure are you applying to this model?
Well, the DAO very much will be a DAO, and it will be up to the community as far as what the programs look like, we envision having conferences, for example, large scale, smaller scale. We envision interacting with journalism schools, journalism students, having people speaking. Again, we can make use of Fireside, other platforms for engaging and just elevating the conversation around the need for unbiased journalism globally, and then what people think. And I really don't know what the community will come up with. People are wildly, creative, and will have their ideas, and we really welcome and look forward to the DAO community coming together. So while
it's not democratic on a kind of moment-to-moment operational basis, there are elements where people do have input and can kind of shape.
I think that's a fair summation. Again, we'll be very deliberate and very welcoming, and want to get the input of the DAO community, what this looks like. The editorial will be independent, of course.
Yeah, and those members then would be, at least initially, your big source of funding to get things up and to pay journalists through that channel.
As with a lot of DAOs, the NFT, that's your membership card, if you will, into the DAO community. We are getting ready to do our first DAO release. It's a NFT release, a limited 100. We already have 31,000 people on our whitelist for that. So we hopefully it'll be very well received. And we're minting NFTs off of our Fireside shows. We have an in-house artist. He's with the Pratt Institute of Art out of New York, doing really beautiful images for our NFTs. We have a whole series around our NFT program.
Yeah, and you also just introduced something called Celebrity POV. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes. Celebrity POV is anchored by Mitchell Fink, who's a 30-year plus veteran of covering the realm of fame, if you will. And he's also a very serious journalist. He's written books in a more general way, one about 9/11, New York Times best-selling author. So he's got serious journalistic chops. What we've observed is the intersection between fame and news. Give you an example, even the Will Smith incident at the Academy Awards, there's a lot of issues attached to that, having nothing directly to do with the Academy Awards, more with the black community, with things around how things get handled or don't handled, how just a number of issues. So that would be one example. The other issues that cut across. For example, paparazzi, other people who live and reside within the ecosystem of fame. Paparazzi help create some of these privacy issues that we are living with today. This idea that somehow people are entitled to know about the details and the children of celebrities, all this, just to get at the issues, if you will. Gun control. There's a lot. Again, we're going for big issues off the headlines, off the news. There'll be no discussion of movies, who's dating who's, fashion, any of that stuff. It really is. It's a news show.
And you're able to do that because you're not reliant on getting people to click on ads.
Pardon me?
You're able to do that kind of sophisticated coverage rather than clickbait stuff because you're not ad reliant.
We're not an ad model initially. Down the road, we may entertain that, but I just want to point out if we did that, it would be according to our standards and ethos. We will not. We're never going to be clickbait. We're never going to be giving away people's private information. We're always going to have the first and foremost the needs of the community and servicing as a service organization. Journalism is a service business, as you know, and so that's always front and center with us.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to Leslie Cauley, the founder of TruthDAO. And do you have any big dates coming up to look out for in terms of rollout?
Oh, thank you for the question. We have our NFT release coming out probably next week. We'll do the drop next week. Our Genesis will be a little bit later this summer.
And if people are curious, is there a place they can find out more about that?
Pardon me?
People are curious. Is there a website where they can find out more about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are TruthDAO.xyz, not to be confused with TruthDAO.com, which is devoted to aliens. Just want to point that out. So we're
okay. Good distinction to make.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Leslie, and best of luck. This is exciting stuff.
Thank you so much.